So, with the 4th episode of WandaVision, we have Please Stand By. Yeah, all the television things become the titles for these shows. But this one, we're out of the sitcom world, and we basically get an explanation for what's going on. So the mystery's over. The only thing remaining is it all Wanda? The show concludes that, yes, Wanda is the source of the problem here. And I think that's true to a certain extent. I think it's Wanda's desire for the fantasy life with Vision drove her to this. But at the same time, I think she's being taken advantage of by some nefarious plot, entity, what have you, whether that's Nightmare or some other villain from Doctor Strange, his world. And I think that would involve some amount of supernatural aspects, or where they say, well, it's supernatural to you, but that's a form of science and blah, blah, blah. But we know that it leads to the Doctor Strange film. And this could be what happened, and Wanda's powers is far more formidable than even she realized, and some nefarious entity is taking advantage of it. So it could be something like Nightmare, or even Mephisto, someone like that. And this is going to have horrible consequences as we go forward. It does refer to, in the title of Doctor Strange, for the Madness of the Multiverse, and we get some clues here where there's this town of Westview that's in trouble, and Sword goes to investigate, and the guy there says, I'm from Eastview, so there's your clue that some distortion has already warped reality, where this guy might not even be from their universe. But we also get some amount of justice for Monica Rambeau. Yes, as far as I knew, and it's true, she was the first female Captain Marvel in the 80s, and later changed to Photon and Spectrum and all that. But maybe they should just give her the title. The actress is actually does a better job than I thought Brie Larson. Now, Brie Larson had a lot of things going against her. How the materials she got, and then the character was written as someone where basically, her memories were all stripped from her, and with it, her humanity. And that's why she was kind of like, a piece of wood there, personality-wise. But I would have thought there'd be better ways of handling that. But they didn't. But the other thing, the derivative of Captain Marvel, is, of course, Maria Rambeau, the mother of Monica. And we get this flashback of Monica's story, and we discover that she was one of the ones who got wiped out by Thanos and his Infinity Gauntlet snap. And when they were restored by the Avengers, Monica was one of the ones that came back, and she disappeared in the hospital while she was with her mother, because apparently Maria had a bout with cancer, and her initial treatment seemed successful. But Monica, as far as she was figured, she fell asleep in the chair in the room. But no, it's 5 years later, or 3 years later, I forget. Yeah, and she reappears because of the new snap that the Avengers did. And you see all of that happening in the hospital, and everyone's freaking out. These people are appearing out of nowhere, and she's one of them. And that's how she rolls into this. And so Maria Photon Rambeau is no more. She passed away. We learned the cancer came back, and she died. And we get a moment there where Monica's freaking out, of course, but then they quickly cut to some time later, where she returns to her job, which turns out to be as an agent for Sword. And we learned that her mother actually was either the founder or one of the founders. I don't know. The comic book said it was the successor to S.H.I.E.L.D. I forget the whole story and how that works. But that's, for all intents and purposes, is what it is here, too, in this version. But anyway, the point is Maria was the founder, and so Monica gets some sort of privileges here with the new director. But anyway, she's brought in, and she worked as a pilot, but they grounded her And said no, and there already mentions that they do have operations in space, which we know from the Spider-Man movie, seeing Nick Fury walking around on the spaceship. And so, but Monica is grounded for the time being, and so she's going to be on terrestrial missions. And the first one is to go investigate this strange anomaly, and she operates drones. And her drone looks like a small helicopter type thing. It disappears into it, and that's the origin of the toy that was mysteriously in color within Wanda's sitcom fantasy world. And so there, they give you all the background of what you've been seeing in the real world as opposed to the sitcom world, and who all it was. And then I forget her character's name, but Kat Dennings' character from the Thor movies comes in, and it stands to reason that's the type of stuff she's been involved with because of Thor and all that. And she's playing her irritating nerdy character. But it works, and she's the one that's discovered that there's like this TV show going on in there. And they watch it, and then they're trying to make contact, and it explains it all fits in with what the previous episodes have demonstrated. So pretty much the cat's out of the bag on all of this, and I forget how many episodes. Maybe it's only 8, I think. So you kind of have to move it along, but at the same time, I think that's a good idea, because I don't know how much more of them redoing old sitcoms would be of interest. Maybe even 2 episodes was already too much. But yeah, Wanda is at the heart of this, and I don't think that's all that surprising, considering the influences from the comic book stories where Scarlet Witch really lost her marbles. And she's created this fantasy world, and now she has it where she and Vision have children. And what is that? And is her power the ability to make that real? It's just, how can that be? He's an android. But then, so there's these 2 children, these 2 entities, And so whenever there's someone who comes in, Monica comes in there and gets weaved into the world to where Monica apparently wasn't completely aware of who her own self was. She called herself, she was the character of Geraldine and all that. And then she remembers things when Wanda made mention that she'd had a twin brother, and that kind of sparks it, and Monica starts to remember, yeah, he was killed by Ultron. And then, that whole thing is bringing her out. So then, but that also sparks Wanda's own memories of what is. She has to keep that buried so she can maintain her fantasy world. And so Monica became a threat. So we see how she pushed her out of her TV world, and then she's dropped outside where the staging ground for Sword is, and they find her, and she tells them, "No, holy crap, this is all Wanda's doing." So it probably the more exciting episode, where the others were done up like sort of a Twilight Zone mystery type thing. Yeah, good episode. I can't say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it was a good episode and kind of fun, and probably the best one of the batch because of all the interesting things going on. But it's also part of the nods to the overall MCU and that sort of matter, and of course some amount of justice for the character of Monica Rambeau, who I think would have been the better character to go with for their Captain Marvel. Because look, they gave her better material, they gave her stuff where Captain Marvel, or Carol Danvers rather, didn't get it. They didn't utilize Carol Danvers' own story hardly at all. So I don't know, but I don't know I don't recall the background of Monica having been in government intelligence or anything like that. And I'm kind of blanking on that. I think she got her superpowers, became a superhero, and caught the interest of the Avengers, and that's how that worked out. But either way, I don't know. And I guess the ultimate outcomes of all this, somehow this will result in her superpowers. She may already have them and doesn't even know it, as being pushed in and out of that weird, world that Wanda has created. But then again, there's the beekeeper guy. So does he get powers? I don't know. So, yeah, I think the only other mystery left is which supervillain is taking advantage of Wanda and what she's doing here. Which Wanda has done this to herself initially, but, you know, someone like, again, a Doctor Strange villain like Nightmare or Mephisto or someone like that is manipulating her. So, there you go. You know, a pretty good episode. Still intrigued by it, and we'll see where it goes. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.